kuana na mohu, e kuana ka paia, e muana o iwi o Hawaii. That which is above shall be brought down, that which is below shall be lifted up. The island shall be united, the walls shall stand upright. Come forward to appeal native of Hawaii. Thank you, Auntie.
Ah, that was a chant made from Auntie Limomi, dedicated to our process. How about give a hand? Thank you, Auntie. Annie, that was beautiful. Mahalo. Okay, again, aloha to all of you. First of all, I'd like to share this with you, and that would be an historical overview of who we represent, who I'm a part of, and many of us today. In fact, I just got the election roster, close to 5,000 of us across the island chain. Yeah, it's participating now with us, you know. And that's, you know, I tell you, the journey has been very long, okay? And I really appreciate those that have stuck with what we intended to do from the very first time we came together, okay? And these were the goals that we actually set out, okay? And this occurred back in March 13, 1999, all right? This process was started, okay? We identify ourselves today as the reinstated lawful Hawaiian government, okay? And we claim the name lawful for a purpose. We believe that what we've done over the past 12 years was fulfill the obligations, okay, in accordance to international law, in accordance to our own kingdom law, all right, to reinstate our former government, okay? And one of the reasons why we decided to reinstate the government, yeah, it was very obvious to us that one, that government was never relinquished by our people, okay? They never gave it up. So if you look at it through a legal perspective, what actually took place that day was we reclaimed the rights that was reserved to that former government. That's what we executed, okay? And let me show you how difficult that execution was. If you can take a look, okay? That former government was made up, yeah, of all the islands, and it had the office of nobles, the office of representatives, okay, in the legislative body. In the executive body, what you had was the monarch, okay? And in the judicial branch, you had the Supreme Court, okay, that was created, and of course, it later became into the circuit courts, district courts, all right? What happened on March 13, 1999, is that we were able to successfully bring together close to 200, yeah, of our Kanakas, men and women, from across the entire island chain to come from these various districts, okay? And the reason why we did that, these are the districts, if you go into your kingdom law, you will realize that these are the same districts that were existing prior to the overthrow. Now, one of the reasons why we decided to reset the districts, right? At the time when we reinstated this country, there was over 150 sovereignty processes. Over 150 processes existing in Hawaii, okay? And one of the questions that we asked ourselves is, how are we supposed to resolve this problem? If everybody has a right to their opinion, and I believe so, right? Then how else could we solve a problem where opinions have divided our people? We realized that there was only one government. There was only one nation. And if we decided to reinstate that former government, then it would represent that one nation. I mean, that's how simple it seemed to be at the time, okay? And that's the reason why we took the time out, all right, to go to every island and to encourage participation from every island. That alone took me 3.5 years to do. 3.5 years took me to get someone from each of these districts. They don't look like much, 24, 4 islands, right? 5 islands, it don't look like much. But let me tell you, that's how long it took. 3.5 years, okay? Today, what has happened is, right, we're down to a handful of proposals. That's what I see, just a handful, okay? And some of them proclaim to be the kingdom. And what I've done is I've simply asked all the kingdoms, all of those who believe in independence, why don't we come together, sit down, and you present your kingdom process. And the purpose for that, I felt, was that the kingdom was well defined in our former law books. Well defined. So when I began to look at other people's process, what I saw was good intent, but no application there. Whereas what we did, yeah, is that we decided that we should have these offices exist and fulfill that obligation. That weekend, March 13, 1999, was one heck of a weekend. Many of us who participated, it's still vivid in my mind, you know. And what happened was, we executed, yeah, the kingdom law. Now, I can tell you, one of the biggest, how would you say, concerns that took place, that convention, was that in the kingdom law, it was very clear that only the males could serve in government office, in the legislature. You got to understand now, where there was one male, there was a female there somewhere around accompanying that male. Man, they didn't appreciate that at all. Okay? And, you know, that was a discussion point that went on for hours. The bottom line I told everybody was, listen, we're trying to put this back. Okay? In the process of putting it back, right, is there other steps? Are we going to take more steps? And the one thing that I made very clear that weekend was, yes, we have to move from self-proclamation, right, to actually voted into office, which meant that all of us would have to agree to participate in one election. So if, quote, unquote, the women were to permit this body to reestablish itself that day with only the males, we can take the next steps. Okay? And the reason why I say we can take the next steps is that this is the only body that can make law, that can pass law. I cannot do that myself. Without the body, you cannot make law. So I thank Akua because the women finally realized, you know what, we should support, right? And in a matter, you're talking in a matter of less than a day, right? The body, those who stepped forward, okay, and that's what it was. There was no election, you know, we were putting the body together. They stepped forward, every district was represented. One of the districts, I can tell you, yeah, is this little square block right here. You know that? I think it goes all the way to Baratania Street. Come all the way down. This was one district. Nobody lives in here. Nobody lives in this district. Except one Kanaka. And he's here today. Uncle John. Uncle John, raise your hand. Yeah? Uncle John lives in the Seamen's Hall. The Seamen's Hall. And the Siemens Hall is right in this district. Can you believe that? I'm taking him home. I'll tell you the story. I'm taking him home one night from my wife's party, Christmas party, and I got to go drop him off. So I'm thinking we're going down to our lower tower, we're going to drink beer. He said, no, you got to turn over here. Then you got to come up this street. I said, well, what's happening, Uncle John? He says, I live right here. I tell you, you talk about elation. Me, huh? Unbelievable. You try to go fill the chart. You're going to try to look at the old law and go see where these districts was. Some of them don't even exist. But we were lucky, you know. I tell you, I couldn't believe it. Of course, the next question was, Uncle John, you want to be a representative for our kingdom? You know, I think you should come forward and represent your kingdom. Of course, let's go. You know, and I tell you, people they don't know how we started the process. As I kind of like, hey, we moved on, man. We moved on. But I'm realizing that as we move forward, okay, it's becoming essential to explain why these offices were reset. Now, you notice that the office of monarch, okay, during that weekend, if you guys understand the kingdom law, it's the legislative assembly that votes for the monarch. That's one of the processes that they have in our kingdom. Well, we had called those who had proclaimed monarchy, come to our convention. Why don't you guys run? Why don't you guys run for the office? And we had an election. The legislative body, yeah, conducted an election that weekend, okay? And one monarch, I think we had 1, 2, 3 contestants, yeah? One monarch was elected, okay? And his name is Kekoa Lake, Kumu Lake's son. He got elected to be the monarch, okay? And then he appointed, right? Only women he would appoint to serve in the executive office with him. So that made the women kind of happy, you know, because they still, like I said, you know, they were still left out of the, how would you say, the process, right? So we fulfilled that, right? And then I'm proud to announce that we have one of our initial Supreme Court Justice here with us. Kano, why don't you say hello, Uncle Max? Yeah, okay. So we had put together the entire government, right? Now, some people actually ask me, you know, who gave you the right? Trust me, when you lose a country, it's not about who gave you the right. It's about who's willing to go and put it back. Who's willing to bring that country back? Okay? Because nobody gave me the right to do what I'm doing right now. I possess the right. I have that possession. I have that possession to go and start the process to reclaim. You know, and everyone that was there had that same possession. The difference that I saw is that we agreed to participate together, to work together to bring this government, yeah, to its finality. Now, March 13, 1999, oh, that's what, 12 years ago? 11 years ago? That's a long time, gang. Okay? And I mean, I see people in my audience right now who was with us from the very beginning. Very beginning. You know, and continue to participate in our process. And to fulfill, to me, to continually be dedicated to something that the reward sometimes, yeah, you don't get it. I mean, you don't get rewards. You only put out. You know, and it's difficult to sustain that drive, that dedication. But I always knew that some way, sometime during our process, something going to rise that's going to bring us all together. Okay? And this is where I'm really proud about today's meeting, is that our process has matured a lot. And I'm going to share that with you guys. Okay? So what happened was, okay, after we had all the offices together, right, the government decided, quote, that they would run an election. So all of us that was there all agreed to become registrars, to go out into our communities, into our islands. Everybody went back, and we put all the time and effort into signing on Kanakas to participate in this process in one election. You know what's unreal? Is that if you look back just in this last year, you know how many countries have been re-recognized just through our election process? Tunisia, Egypt is coming up, Iraq, okay? So I tell you, we did the right thing back then when we decided to conduct one election. And obviously, the real reason why we conducted was that when we came together, right, everybody was asked, hey, can you help us? If you live in this area, step forward, serve the office, you know, help us along that way, all right? But self-proclaimed. We knew right away that how can we now remove self-proclaimed status, okay, to a status that everybody would acknowledge and recognize, that we no longer self-proclaimed. It had to come through an election. And we conducted the first election March 6, 1999. Okay? And I can tell you, over 1,600 people participated in our first election. When I started this process and I went out, you know how many people told me, Henry, lucky you get 100 guys to believe in what you're talking about. Because our goal, in the reinstated lawful Hawaiian government is real simple. Our goal is to reclaim our independent sovereign nation status. That's our goal, okay? We're going to reclaim that status, all right? The purpose for reinstating the former Hawaiian government is to have an operating and functioning government ready to receive recognition and exercise jurisdiction, political authority, okay? That's our purpose. Without a government in place, other governments in the world will not discuss issues with you. I know that for a fact, okay? They talk to governments. Governments talk to governments, okay? And that's why it was important that we reinstate the government. And our government, like I said, comes from our lawful nation. Okay, so if you have any questions as to why we did what we did, I'm hoping that in this very short overview, you guys can understand what we did and why we did it. Okay? Now, this is 12 years later, okay? 3 elections later. When I say elections, gang, I'm telling you that we conduct an election right across the entire island chain. Okay? The last election the state of Hawaii we conduct, I think cost the state of Hawaii close to $15 million. Okay? 15 million. And we did 3 elections already. All hard work. People dedicating themselves, making it happening, organizing, staying organized. And I think, again, in any process where there is no immediate reward, the challenge is the belief. That's your challenge. Whether or not you're going to believe or you ain't going to believe. Because if it was like running a government that already got funding, I tell you, I would have people knocking on the door, trying to come in, you know. But you know what? That ain't the way it's happening. And if nobody's going to take the effort or make the effort to make it happen, then that's where we're going to remain. We're going to stay exactly where we are. Grumbling with each other. Discussing all the issues this de facto government give us, all the kakills. Amazing. But I tell you, long ago we realized that if we really focus and we put our minds to it, the time going to arrive. Because today's mission is different. Today's mission is to demand the return of our Hawaiian kingdoms, government, crown, and public lands. That's our mission right now in this government, okay, is that we're going to demand our recognition. Now, I've seen many of demands done in the past, tons of them. What I learned, if you're going to make a demand, yeah, you better be able to stand by it. Stand behind your demand, okay? And why I'm sharing this with you is because you got to understand the demand is to reclaim what is rightfully ours. And I realize that every island is connected to this demand. Every island. Which meant that for somehow, some way, I better be able to organize all these islands, organize these districts, organize the Kanakas in those districts to step forward and accept that challenge. Okay? And it has been, and I must say, it has been an interesting, hard journey, okay, to come to this point. All right? Accomplishing that demand, sometimes you have to understand what are the parameters involved with making such a demand happen. All right? And what I realize is that in the process of demanding, then there may be steps that we should execute to move us forward to that final step. Okay? And some of the steps that we started, this was two years ago, was that once our government was operating, once our body had established the laws in our government, okay, we got established laws already, we could exercise some of the rights that we as Kanakas possess in our country. But I want you to notice that the rights that you possess, yeah, will always be challenged by your de facto government. Always. Okay? One of the rights that we possess, I believe, is that we all possess the right to travel in our country. We believe that. Okay? We believe that we possess that right. Okay? The second right that we also believe is that we should be doing business in our country. Okay? And there's many more other rights. Okay? And obviously, the final right that I see is the right to reclaim what is rightfully ours. And that would be our government lands, our crown lands, our public lands, and basically our sovereignty. That's what I'm talking about. But history has shown me that if you're going to exercise a right that you believe in and is contrary to their laws, then you should expect this. You should expect running into a legal problem. In other words, you might get arrested, you might get removed, okay? Because you believe in a right. But there's something in that keeping us from receiving it. So, what we did, we sat down and this is what we said to ourselves. Okay, if these are our rights, how can we now find out how to prepare our government to defend our nationals in our country, okay, if our government authorizes these rights? How is that possible? Well, that's when we realize, first of all, we better have the law behind us. Okay? And that was what our government body has been doing since its creation. It has been, every time our convening takes place, we discuss law and we pass law. Why? We got laws in our government right now that gives our national the right to travel in your country. Okay? And we selected that right to exercise. Okay? I'll be honest with you, I haven't initiated it here on Oahu, but Maui, Molokai, Lanai, not on Lanai, sorry, Uncle Eddie was supposed to exercise that right on Lanai, not yet. Big Island and Kauai. Okay? Close to 200 nationals today are exercising rights to travel with our license plates, our proper ID card issued by our government, our registration to their vehicles, okay? And I'm going to be very open with you. We got into legal conflicts. Okay? We knew it was coming, so we prepared for it. We prepared our legal briefs, okay, to take on these de facto government and their ordinances, their statutes. And for now, going on 1.5 years, okay, I can proudly say to you, yeah, that we got 2 cases, okay, finally 2 cases dismissed. One, okay, was in Kauai, one of our nationals, his entire case was dismissed, all right, and the courts returned our government property, our license plates, our registration, and our national's ID. Yeah, I tell you, it took us 1.5 years, all right, but every time we confronted one situation, every time we confronted what is real, okay, we presented real. We presented them with the reality, okay, that you cannot tell us, yeah, that you're sorry for overthrowing our country and yet don't do nothing about it. Knock it off. You understand where I'm at? But that comes, I told you, with the support of law. We're just not in there arguing with these guys. We're in there rightfully knowing that this has to be executed. In the beginning, ho'opakiki, judges, whatever, government officials, hard. But as we continue to progress, right, in our exercise, respect started to rise. Okay? And of course, it's about education. Many of them in the de facto government are not educated. They're not educated to what's happening. So obviously we're going to have to educate them. And that's what we did. We took our time to educate that these are our rights. This is what you actually have given to us. But yet you deny us when we exercise the right. Okay? I want you to remember now, the mission is to demand the return. And I use that word, demand, because they ain't going to give you back anything. You don't put this thing back correctly, you don't execute, don't expect them to give you anything. And that's why I believe that at this phase where we at, yeah, we deliberately, okay, had taken on their government institutions and their laws. And we're realizing that they cannot continue to violate our human rights, yeah, without violating their own laws. It took us time, okay? Same thing with some businesses. We got business running in Kalapana. We got businesses running in Maui. I'm going to tell you, those things not easy to do. Because they're there. Who's there? Enforcement is there. They're ready to take your stuff and walk away. And very simple for them, right? And tell you, we see you in court. But you know what? Again, they're denying us our right. And the only way that we believe that you're going to get one right is you better go earn it. Go earn it. So today it's nice. You know, we got businesses operating on Maui now on a weekly basis. Going. We got one business in Kalapana operating every day. you know. But these, you know, guys gotta understand, it doesn't come, yeah, on issuance. Say if I was to issue on right to travel, trust me, it's coming with your understanding that you're gonna go and accept the consequences. All right? Because I can only assist you. I can help you by our government support. But it came down to bottom line, that those individuals that accepted to exercise their rights, they actually knew that the reason why they're doing it is because they want to force a change to what's happening to us in our country. Okay? And I tell you, some have lost. They've lost. Okay? We paid the fines. Our government paid the fines. Right back out. Boom. Those are special people. I'm telling you. They're very special. They're willing to continue, yeah, trying to acquire what is their rights. Okay? One thing we did learn, like I said, you're not going to understand how to defend, yeah, or prepare a defense if you don't actually go and exercise what you clearly know, yeah, going to get you into trouble. Trust me. In order for us to have experienced this 3 weeks ago, where the courts decided to return, yeah, our plates, that was after 1.5 years of taking a beating in there. You know? So you don't learn. People just don't learn how to do an application unless you got to go and execute. Well, one of the nice parts about what we've been doing is that we've been learning. We've been learning how to use their laws to our benefit, yeah, and prepare ourselves a lot better so that it makes it easier as we continue on our reinstatement process. Okay? We find out what we should do and what we shouldn't have done. Okay? One of the reclamations that we did, and that was back in 2006, is that our government reclaimed the entire island of Kaho'olawe. Okay? And I'll tell you the reason why we did that. The island of Kaho'olawe is the only island, and I thank Akua and our ancestors, is the only island in all of Hawaii, okay? When I say Hawaii, I'm talking about the major islands, where there is no third party involved in that island. When I say third party, I'm talking about the landowner or one awardee, one royal patent, LCA awardee, or one landowner, such as maybe A&B, big corporation, or even someone else buying a piece of property on the island. Aole. Only get one. Okay? And that is the Hawaiian government. We own that island. And today, right, the state of Hawaii manages that island. Right? They manage it for the federal government, who both just happens not to be the owners of the island. Okay? When we went there, we already had developed our defense. Okay? And I can say this much to you. Our court case is in appeals now for 3.5 years. Been there for 3.5 years. And the response is, they basically don't know what to do, because a part of our defense was we proved that we exist in their court of law. And the state never did object to our existence, not once. We brought in one expert, international law expert, to testify on our behalf. The state never did counter. So this thing is up at the appeals court, right? We developed this brief before we even went onto Kaho'olawe, because we felt that if we execute, yeah, that would be the beginning of making more things happen. So we got our reclamation, our land reclamation in the court of law right now. Okay? People ask me, where are you going to get recognition? I tell you, it's right in there. is right in their very system, you may be able to acquire recognition. You may be able to force them to give you recognition. I don't know if any of you really know that the state passed the law, yeah, in 1996, stating that the Kaho'olawe has to be returned to a sovereign governing entity. It's in their law. Hello. They just didn't realize, I don't think the US government realized that there was Kanakas smart enough to understand how an overthrown nation can reclaim their country. I really believe that they didn't take that into serious consideration. Okay? I guess it's because they saw all 150 sovereignty groups all out there. There was no way we was going to come together. That's what I sense. But lo and behold, we were able to accomplish what we set out to do, and we're going to fulfill what we started. Okay? It's on your number 5. Actually, I got 2 number 5. The second number 5. I will get there after I share with you what's happening in our process regarding our elections. Okay? Just so happened this year, yeah, our government has to conduct, and I say has to, we have to conduct an election. Okay? It's in our laws, it's in our Constitution that these offices, Office of Prime Minister, the Office of Representative of Nobles, yeah, has to be put up for election. Okay? As a part of our law. All right? Well, we've been out here for the last 2 years, okay, promoting our elections. Now, I can tell you, our promotions may not be the best promotions that you may think should happen, but I can be very open with you. It's very difficult to conduct a government, yeah, with $200–300 a month. It's the most challenging thing I've ever faced with, okay? But I can tell you, again, it's about dedication. It's about making stuff happen. I could have sat back and just, you know what, this is nuts. I refuse to continue. Or I can quit crying, yeah, to myself and continue. Just keep doing the work. Get it done. Because the more we apply, the more we're going to get recognized in this country of ours. And the more the de facto government going to realize that we're here to stay. We're here to take what is ours. Okay? And I really think, because of all the elections, the prior 3 elections, you know, this one had to be, I thought this is the hardest. Okay? I thought the first one, in fact, I think the first was the hardest, all right? But this one has certainly been a challenge. And I'm going to tell you guys one of the reasons. Just imagine, 11 years went by in this process, 11 years, and we've lost, I think, close to 50 people, yeah, through natural deaths, okay? And we've lost others just because I couldn't blame them. You know, how long more are we supposed to take? When we supposed to do something, you know? And people just got, you know, and I cannot blame anybody. They just get tired. Well, in this election, there was that feeling of whether or not we would be able to fulfill our obligation. I mean, it came down to that. And I just can say this much. I'm proud to tell you guys, I'm proud to announce that on Oahu, we were able to fulfill our obligation by having every district represented, yeah, the House of Nobles fulfilled, you know. And like I said, hey, we've been out there. You know, people cannot tell us, you haven't seen our big signs on the road. That's how we advertise. That's how we promote. Every event, we there. Sign up, get on election. You like run, sign up over here. You know? And not everybody will step forward. I am just so proud to the fact that I have people who did step forward. Because it continues this process. Okay? The actual registration to participate in this election, I think it was August 5th was the deadline. Okay? We extended it to September 10th because we didn't have enough people in those offices yet. We extended it, and all I know is I'm just so happy to announce that I thank Akua that we have individuals participating in our election. Okay? And give them a hand, because let me tell you, it takes a lot of courage. You know, people may not realize that, but this process has come under very, very tight scrutiny. And I'm talking about the law. I'm talking about your de facto government officials. I mean, they're on it. But I've always said this. Again, if somebody was to steal your car while you're listening to this presentation, right? Who are you going to run for help? Who are you going to run to? You're going to run to the police department. You're going to report your car is stolen. So they're going to help you. Okay? Then they find your car, they find it, they call you up, come pick up your car. Okay? 117 years ago, our nation was stolen. Who are we going to call? Especially when the people who stole the nation in 1993 told you that they stole it and when apologized to us. Who are we going to call? We got to call each other. That's all you got. You got to call each other to understand what you're going to do, how you're going to do it to get back your country. Because they ain't going to call a police department, they ain't going to call a federal FBI, whatever it is, to give you back the country. That's not their responsibility. That I had learned long ago. That if somebody tells you sorry, it's your responsibility to fulfill that obligation. And that's when I realized in 1993, yeah, that we had hope. We have hope here. Right? The very occupier acknowledged that they stole our country, but more exciting was they told you in paragraph 29, yeah, whereas the indigenous Native people, Hawaiian people, never did relinquish their claims to their inherent sovereignty or over their national lands. I thought that was very arrogant of them. In a statement to tell you, yeah, you guys never even give us the land, but we have it. So what do? The third thing came out of that public law. That public law identified who can claim the sovereignty and who can claim the land. It told you that right in the bill. They call it the Kingdom of Hawaii. They use the Hawaiian government name. They use the lawful government of Hawaii. All of these terms are all in there. So I can't see why we should waste our time, okay, when we can focus on understanding why it's so important to participate in one government. As I can tell you, you know how many times these officials, you know what has been their escape card? Oh, what's the difference between you and the other process? Big difference, I tell them. Big difference. We finished. They still talking. They haven't done a thing yet. They still talking about sovereignty. We actually had a forum back almost a year already, yeah? A year ago? September, last September. And we had other processes. Present your process to our people so that they can understand you. Normal process. But get plenty knowledge, you know, plenty ideas. So I've always said, listen, whoever going to put the government back and going to operate and function as a government, that's the government, I believe, authority going to be manifested to. I've always felt that way, you know? And it made it, to me, it made it a lot easier. Why don't we just reinstate the former lawful Hawaiian government, yeah, and claim the rights that's in that government, the right to political authority, the right to reclaim all of its property. What more rights you need? So we should do the first thing first. We should reinstate our government. Okay? So this year we're running this election, obviously, to fill offices. And you know what's exciting? Out of the 14 offices available, I take that back, 16 offices available, 10 new candidates. 10. I'm excited. I'm excited. You know? That many step forward. 10 new candidates. And that's important, guys. Really important to understand. Because it shows promise to me. It shows promise that people are coming forward. They're stepping forward. Okay? None of them have races. Okay? One person from each district. That's all we was able to muster. All right? And trust me, I called, went to people, asking them, hey, you know, maybe you should help us run for office. Some of them said no, you know, and I respect their decision. And some of them said yes. And I appreciate that. Okay? So in this election, what's going to happen is, right now, we might have a what do you call? A race for the Prime Minister office. Okay? Person is not sure yet. They sent it in. They're not too sure yet, but at least they made the attempt. They stepped forward, you know, and they came forward and provided their name. All right? Which means that this island, okay, how we're going to be conducting the election, we're going to select one site. Okay? We're looking at it right here. Then we're going to set up our elections booths here. Okay? And we're going to contact you by phone, which is what we already started to do. Okay? To inform you that you are a part of our registry and you will be receiving a ballot. Okay? And we're hoping to finish the information and get it out to you by mail. And we're strongly deciding to do absentee ballots. I wouldn't call it absentee ballots, but mail-in ballots to make it easier on everybody. Okay? So that you know you can send in your vote through mail. All right? And that, you know, that in itself takes a lot of time and funding. And we're raising the funds right now to make it happen. Okay? So we haven't really decided yet, but I can only share with you that you will, first of all, will be receiving through the mail, okay, directions, the list of candidates, and the offices that are up for election, okay? And in return, we just pray that you guys acknowledge your participation, return your ballots, or you can bring it that day and you can deposit your ballot, okay? What happens is, the day of the election, our election commissioner, okay, every island is conducting their election now. Every island is going on, okay? And what happens is, the booths this year close at 5 o'clock on November 5th, Saturday. It closes, shuts down, and everybody counts their ballots in their district. Well, the districts that have races, okay, they count the ballots in their district, and the winner is declared in the district. All right? Then they get the ballots over to the island commissioner. Okay, there's an island commissioner. That commissioner looks through the ballots, makes sure everything was done properly, the count was made, and that commissioner verifies who won. Okay? From there, the outer islands now contact Oahu, which we have the commissioner of the entire elections, who's located here. All right? He compiles that information, and he won't make that decision till a couple of days later, because we got to get back these ballots to him, and then he will verify and then certify. All right? If you're wondering, yeah, if whether or not we have all of these rules set up, I believe that we may have it here, okay? And that's in our resolution. I believe it's resolution 11, resolution 11 in our process, elections process. So after, you can come and take a look. I think one of us do have it with us, okay? But it's an entire process, all right, that's well developed, okay? It tells you how we conduct our elections, okay? So again, I want to say thank you for those who have come forward. In fact, at this time, how about raising your hands? Those of you who are going to be running, who step forward. 2, 3, 5, 6, okay? Happening? Happening. You know, I thank you guys. Serious. How about giving a hand? Uncle, my hero. He's my hero, Uncle. Okay? Okay, so any questions on elections? I just wanted to clarify to you guys that that's what happens during our election, yeah? We try to contact as many as we can, you know. It's the most difficult thing, trying to keep a process that has to stand on its own, you know. And it's one of the biggest challenges that I've ever faced, okay?
The age limit?
No more age limit. We didn't put an age limit, but there is there is something. In fact, you have to be 18 and above to vote. Okay, you can be 18 and above for representative and noble. For the office of Prime Minister, there is an age requirement, and that's 35 years and above. Okay, on our next meeting, our group meeting, it's going to be October 1st. That's a Saturday at Sandy Beach. Okay, and the reason for it is we have Waikoloa and a couple of some of Hawaii's best bands. They're going to put on one concert there on Sunday, not Saturday. Okay, what's happening is we've been going to different areas, yeah, staging our registration. Okay, so this next vigil that we conducting will be at Sandy Beach. Okay, we're going to be there from Friday all the way to Sunday. All right, so the date is the 30th. The meeting is the 1st, Saturday. We're going to set up on the 30th, September 30th, Friday, 12 o'clock. And then Saturday, I'm having a meeting, another meeting, okay? Gathering, I'm calling everybody so that I can, how would you say, get you guys into the habit of moving. And there's going to be the connection to what I'm talking about today, okay? Trying to encourage participation in this short period of time that we're looking at, one short window, all right? And then Sunday, like I said, they're going to be having entertainment. We're going to be selling food and stuff throughout the weekend, fundraising for our process. Now, if you're asking me whether or not you guys are going to be able to stay at Sandy Beach, the answer is yes. Okay, so you guys want to camp, stay with us, bring your families, all right? There's going to be areas available where you guys can stay, okay? Yeah, we can make it a weekend. I think it's a good thing. It's nice to feel free sometimes. It really is. We've done it before. I've already contacted them, telling them that we're going to be doing our registration and stuff, our visual education, okay? So we try to combine it. Before I even get started though, that was the correction I made. At this time, I'd like to say aloha to all of you and thank you for coming, especially on Sunday with NFL football going on. Oh man, I tell you, after I started looking at the agenda, I said, oh boy, I hope some people are going to come because otherwise they're going to be glued to their TV. But I thank you for attending, okay?
But there's one thing I can't stand, the American dream. What is that? The land of the home.